GNC 599. It's Friday, August 6th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Lots going on here, folks. I tell you, I'm really excited for the weekend. Got a great trip planned next week. Going to talk all about that here in just a second. But you know what comes first? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, we're live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking the greater Oahu. Did you guys hear me screw that up? Hey everyone, welcome to the show. And again, name's Todd Cochran. And of course, I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content. Of course, check out our archive podcasts available via the podcast link on the website. And of course, that will lead you to all of the archive shows. And once you're over there and you're checking out the archive shows, you might as well subscribe to the podcast. That way you will be guaranteed to get the show delivered to your portable media player, your iPod Touch, whatever it may be that you're consuming content, your Zune, your BlackBerry, however it may be. Subscribe to the show, and that way you'll never miss a single episode of the show. And next show is show 600. We're fast approaching that number. And we're going to have a daytime show. I'm trying to work my schedule because Monday is absolutely insane. But I'll talk about that here in a second. And, of course, if you're a new listener to the show, you definitely get signed up for the newsletter. The newsletter contains all the content that I'm going to talk about tonight. And basically it ends up in your email inbox, be available for you first thing in the morning, depending on what part of the world you listen to the show. And that way, number one, you know there's a new show that's been put on the street. Number two is you're listening to the show wherever you may be consuming it. You'll be able to follow along via the variety of URLs that are there for all the content. And it gets you up to date and up to speed on what's happening with the show as well. So get subscribed to the newsletter and subscribe to the show, and that way you'll be fully connected with us. If you're watching us on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku or on Boxy or even on the Blueberry channel, I want to, of course, welcome you to the Ohana. And thanks for watching the show. Those of you that are watching tonight on Ustream and on Justin.tv, thanks for being with us. Justin.tv, we're in our second night of streaming to Justin at Justin.tv/Geek News. Of course, most of you are asleep in your beds. It's 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast and 11 o'clock p.m. in the Pacific time zone. But one thing that's nice about me traveling to the lower 48, well, Monday's show will be here in Honolulu for show 600. And what it's looking like right now, it's looking like I'm going to be able to start the show in and around 1 to 1:30 in the afternoon Hawaiian Standard Time, which would probably take it about 7 to 7:30 on the East Coast, and then maybe 4:30 on Pacific Time. So really kind of an early show. The large reason for that is I got to get on an airplane and head to the West Coast, and then I will be doing a live show probably around 8 p.m. Let's see, what would that be? Is it going to be Mountain or is it going to be Pacific time? I think it'll be around 8 p.m. Mountain time on Thursday, the Thursday night show. I fly back to Honolulu on Friday, and then I'm back for a whole week here in the studio. And then I leave the following weekend, and I go out to the East Coast. I'm going to be on the East Coast for a whole week. But then it's from a Saturday to a Saturday, come back on a Saturday, and then I'm only home. Oh, boy. I'll do the Monday show at the end of the month. I think that's the 30th. I'll do the Monday show from Honolulu. And then on Tuesday, the morning of the 31st, I fly out for San Francisco, and I'm actually going to the Set-Top Box Conference in Silicon Valley in San Jose. So I'll only be there 2 days, bounce back home. So probably the first show of September might be delayed until Friday because I'm flying back that same evening, and I'll get in pretty late here on Thursday. So it'll be a pretty full week, but 3 trips planned, and I'll be home. And like I said, just a week here, week there in the month of September. So it's going to be a very, very busy time. Lots of stuff going on, good, exciting stuff. It's a good time to be tuned into the show, and it'll give me a chance to kind of get used to, again, doing the show on the road, and I just love being home. So, I went out in the garage this morning and pulled out the good old trusty travel case. I had to dust it off a little bit. It hasn't been on the road in a month, and open it up, make sure all the gear was in there and organized and set up so there would be no surprises for the show that I would have to do on the road next week. But Show 600 here in Honolulu, and send your comments in on what you'd like to see in the show changed from 600 forward. And we've got a number of emails and comments, so geeknews@gmail.com. And, of course, put in there Show 600. And we'll do something special. I have a little fun on Show 600, so don't worry. It'll be a good 00 show, I guess, for a better word. Well, I tell you, I want to say welcome to our new hire at Raw Voice. His name is Cameron. He started today, and I'm really excited about him being on the team. He's going to be working out our new office in Columbus, Ohio, and he's a programmer. So Angelo, our senior programmer, is going to be basically running the shop there. So we're real excited about Cameron coming on full-time, and kind of exciting because now, I have so many projects and tasks, and the team has got so many things planned. It's just double the fun. We're going to be able to get twice as much stuff done, and that's good for podcasters, new media consumers, and everything. A lot to get done by the end of the year. We have a huge agenda, but I will say this. I'm going to be, in October, I'm going to be going out to Blog World and New Media Expo, and I'm going to be speaking at Blog World. So I hope that you will consider coming to Blog World this year. It's going to be a great event. I've actually been working on the committee that's working on the actual lineup of topics that's going to be in the new media track. And so far, it's a really exciting lineup. I think we've decided tentatively on about 11 tracks that are for sure. And I think we got 3 more tracks we have to work in and get filled. But it's going to be a great event. If nothing else, just to meet up with friends that we haven't seen in a while, and, of course, meet new folks that are considering doing new media. So if you're considering coming out to Vegas in October, Blog World and New Media Expo, my team at Raw Voice will be there. We'll have a booth, of course, but come and get educated and have a lot of fun. What else is going on here? Those of you that are familiar with our Travelcast network at travelcastnetwork.com, we're going to do some changes coming to that. There was some decisions made earlier in the week. I think you're going to see the site starting to move a little bit. We're going to see some new shows added to it. So keep an eye out over there at travelcastnetwork.com, and I'll be talking about that a little bit as we move on. Big changes, of course, over at techpodcast.com, where the past couple of days we launched the new site design, fully HTML5 capable. So if you haven't been over to techpodcast.com, go check out the new design. It's really slick. It's nice. I like how it basically navigates. We improved the whole MyCast section. So far, everyone is really happy. We had good reviews. We did a little reorganization in the category stuff as well, so that for those of you that are watching on the Roku, now there's no more single shows in single categories. We made sure everything was condensed and would make it easier for you to navigate. And so I'm really excited about a lot of the things that have been going on. So one thing I am disappointed with, I jailbroke my iPad and plugged in the composite video cable into it that I had spent $39 for, and plugged it into the TriCaster, and it did not work quite as I expected. So I'm back to the drawing table on exactly what I did wrong, and I figured that out because I was doing this like 5 minutes before the start of the show, so I'm sure that was didn't have anything to do with it whatsoever. But what I was hoping to do was show you guys the GoToMeeting app running, and I just ran out of time, so I'll get that figured out, and I'll be able to show you guys that on a later show. So let me look at my list here. Hey, this week has really been kind of a week of discussions. I've had great discussions with a number of media companies. It's been good. So I can tell that the economy, the wheel of the economy, is starting to maybe move just a little bit. And as I indicated on actually I didn't indicate on, I had a great meeting for a project that I'm working here in Honolulu. Really, really excited about what could be coming. I can't say any more than that because it's hush hush. But the planning stages are moving forward, and this is something that probably is maybe 3 to 6 months away. But I'm as excited as I've ever been for basically media creation and that type of stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we'll keep you advised. All right. Let's take care of a little business here, and we'll get into the actual show. But you guys know GoDaddy's a longtime sponsor here of Geek News Central, and they really have a great lineup of products and services. So when you get a chance, make sure you get over to GoDaddy.com and check them out. You guys know I've got that Geek $199. That's for new customers. Again, it's a new customer promotion only. This is where you are able to get access to .com domain names at $1.99, and there's no other really deal out there like it. So what happened there? We flip back to the main page. Okay, I know what I did wrong. I gotta push the switcher all the way down, Todd. There's a little transition knob that I have down here. If I don't flip it all the way, it doesn't put the right screen up. But anyway, $1.99 domains.coms for new customers, Geek $199. Of course, if you're looking for other products and services, dedicated servers, virtual dedicated accounts, and so forth, definitely check them out. And great pricing, great service, and of course, it's backed up by me. If you guys have an issue with your GoDaddy service using one of my codes, I need you to email me. Say, Todd, I'm having an issue, and I'll send that data right through the bureaucracy to get you access to pretty high up in the company to get a response to your issue. Now, work through the normal tech support stuff, but if you come to a situation where something can't be resolved and you're aggravated, you got to let me know, okay? Because I'm here to, number one, make their product better and to support you guys. So Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Todd 20 will save you 20% on 1-year shared hosting accounts. Geek 5 will save you 15% on orders $20 or more. So thanks to GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. And of course, you guys check it out. And lots of cool stuff at GoDaddy. All right. As well, this week seems to be, I think, a record for the number of meetings I did online. I know that there was the one thing you got to be careful about GoToMeeting is once you get out of a meeting, you got to, especially if it's with a client, you got to remember to shut the meeting down, because until you go off air, your screen is really still visible on the other side. So I got done with a meeting and I was really excited about what had happened. And so I opened up email and I wrote to the team, had a great meeting with so-and-so. And I typed this out real quick and, and sent it off. And it was kind of funny because the guy that I had a meeting with said, thank you for telling your team you had a great meeting with me in the company, because he watched me write the email. So I was like, okay, I kind of forgot that it was on. Now, thank goodness it was a good meeting and it wasn't one of those that would be like, oh, that one sucked. So GoToMeeting is a great product for you to be able to really show your computer screen, or actually see theirs as well. You can basically hand off and do demos and go through business plans, whatever it may be. And you don't have to leave the confines of your home. You can be in your car, and it launches just in seconds. And as a listener of this show, you're able to get access to GoToMeeting free for 30 days. And all you really got to do is go over to GoToMeeting.com/tech podcast. GoToMeeting.com/tech podcast. Try it for 30 days. No credit card is required. And again, do more, travel less. And it's real simple. You can get started in 4 steps. You're up and running. And GoToMeeting's a longtime sponsor here at the show. And we want you to give it a try and hopefully become a customer of the product. Okay, let me go ahead and bounce into what I have in the stack here for content tonight. And let me close this little window here, and we'll bring up the Mac Daddy Chrome window that's got all the different articles in it. There we go. So what have I got for you first? Leave it to the Chinese to be able to work on essentially putting together something that wasn't, or actually making something work in a way that it wasn't meant to, or wasn't designed to be done. So if you go over to micgadget.com, and you guys got to check this out. It's called the Apple Peel 520. And what this does is you take an iPod Touch, and from the iPod Touch, you drop it into this case, install an app, and then you have a phone. So this has a SIM, has a battery, has all the stuff you would need to make a cell phone call in the back of a little case for an iPod Touch. Now, it's called the Apple Peel 520. It's about 57 American dollars. So it's not very much, but I don't think we are going to, I don't think we're going to see the, oops, let's switch me back in there. I don't think we're going to see that being sold here in the United States anytime soon. But I'm sure that there's a lot of people overseas that are going to say, aha, I have an iPhone. And it really isn't, but definitely made by a Chinese market. And not very thick. It's smaller than a quarter or a won. And that's what they show in the image here. So pretty cool stuff. But great way to get a, if someone's over in China, you might want to pick one of these up just to bring it home to show it off. How many of you are TiVo users? I've never owned a TiVo, but if you are have purchased a TiVo Premier, you'll know that they have really spiced up the interface there. There's a head-to-head article on Engadget where they compare TiVo Premiere versus Windows 7 Media Center, and boy, I tell you, to me it looks like that it's pretty close in features and the ability to be able to do things. So I'm kind of curious, for those of you that do have a TiVo Premiere and those of you familiar with Windows 7 Media Center, what do you think is the better interface? And I really want to hear from folks that have both potentially, and how you use it, and how well it is integrated into your entertainment lifestyle in your living room. So you can always send comments on the show to geeknews@gmail.com, or you can call the voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365. But, it's Windows 7 Media Center. And what this really drove me to do when I saw this is I've got Windows 7 loaded on this machine, and Media Center is built in. I loaded it up and started playing with it. I hadn't played with it in a while. And if you haven't done that recently on your PC, try it and just give it a run. You might be surprised of the capabilities that you have, basically to access your media from the Windows 7 Media Center that are come on most computers at this time. All right, let's talk a little bit about the ongoing controversy of net neutrality. The FCC has announced that they're going to stop doing the closed-door internet policy meetings. This was in regards to the massive outcry from the New York Times article yesterday that basically said that Google and Verizon had signed a net neutrality agreement. Now, turns out that Verizon and Google have made statements in saying that, and this is what Verizon said, the New York Times article regarding conversations between Google and Verizon is mistaken. It fundamentally misunderstands our purpose. As we said in our earlier FCC filing, our goal is an internet policy framework that ensures openness and accountability and incorporates specific FCC authority while maintaining investment and innovation. To suggest that this is a business arrangement between our companies is entirely incorrect. On the Google Public Policy Twitter account, they belted out a denial of the claims, and said that the New York Times is wrong. It says, at New York Times is wrong. We have not had any combos with Verizon about paying for carriage of our traffic. We remain committed to an open internet. Now, people were, man, I mean, they were coming off the top rope today before these statements were made saying, what are you doing? Have you sold out to the stakeholders, sold out, or to the shareholders? You know, what have you done, Google? And I mean, there was some pretty ferocious commentary on the net. Now, what this New York Times article did was really woke up a sleeping lion. The general GQ public said they're having private meetings. They're meeting about net neutrality in secret. Oh, how shame on them. Apparently, though, the closed-door discussions were not going so well. And the FCC says, we've called off this round of stakeholder discussions. Now, I like how they announced that, how they preface that. This round. In other words, are they going to have another round of closed-door meetings? We've called off this round of stakeholder discussions, said Eddie Lazarus, the chief of staff to the chairman of the FCC. It has been productive on several fronts, but has not generated a robust framework to preserve the openness and freedom of the internet, one that drives innovation, investment, free speech, and consumer choice. All options remain on the table as we continue to seek broad input on this vital issue. Here's the thing. If it is such a vital issue, and they are so worried about free speech, so worried about consumer choices, they need to simulcast these meetings in the future, make them live on the internet so that people can watch what is being said and the positioning that these companies are taking. Doing this stuff behind closed doors, while it may be expedient and may be better to these companies' bottom lines, it is making all of us sit back and say, we don't trust you guys. And that's what it boils down to. Anytime the government brings in companies and closes the doors and have secret meetings about net neutrality, only bad can come from it. Only bad. Now, AT&T said, we are disappointed the net neutrality talks convened by the FCC have broken down. We put a number of significant concessions, notice this, concessions, on the table, and despite today's setback, remain convinced that a consensus solution can be achieved. They're making deals, folks. They're making deals about net neutrality. You need to get on your computers. You need to go to the FCC website, and you need to barrage them with comments about not having closed-door policy meetings with these companies anymore. You know, I'm hoping there's been enough light brought to this at this point through this New York Times article that people are going to say, whoa, what's going on? But too many people are too passive, too quiet. They're not willing to stand up and fight. And this is what we need to do. Because if not, some drug deal is going to get made, and they're all going to glad hand together and pat each other on the back, and they're all going to come out, and guess who's going to get hammered? Us, citizens of this country. We're moving closer to an agreement on stronger rules. There should be no rules. Net neutrality, this is how it's going to be. This is what the FCC should say. All right. Sorry. All right. Let me move on to the next article. Apple today has submitted a patent application that has a picture within the patent application that looks like an actual app that is in the App Store. And when I saw this initially, I was like, it's cut and paste. I was like, whoa, these guys have guts to do this. Well, turns out Apple is saying, oh, no, we just put this on there to demonstrate it's not what the patent's about. And some other folks have confirmed this. But can you imagine being an app developer, seeing a new patent application make news on the net? You go over there and it's your app, the face of your app on their patent application. I mean, you'd want to lawyer up. And at the same time, you would be like, this is going to devastate my business. This was really a bad decision by the folks at Apple. They're getting sloppy over there. Very sloppy. They should have used their own intellect and people that are smart in their company to have mocked up what they wanted to submit to the patent office. Honestly, talk about losing trust with your development. Let me just bring this up on the screen for those of you on Justin and Ustream to see real quick, and those of you that are on the Roku that are watching post show. Let me bring this up here. Look at this. Look at that. Would you if you're the developer of that, would you just about like to flip out? I think I would be like, whoa. Now, obviously, I'm sure Apple will come out and make some sort of official statement, say they're sorry. But, boy, talk about giving a company president and financial officer a stroke. It definitely would have surprised me. And this was over on gigaohm.com. I'm going to load an article up by Gizmodo. It's a USB hub with a power strip. This is pretty cool. We got to, first of all, I'm looking at 4 USB items plugged into a single USB jack on a computer. I'm hoping this thing comes with an external power supply because I don't know how many devices a single USB plug on a computer can drive, but they're starting to make USB strips now with power switches on them. And there's some that have. There's another one here that's got 7, and then there's another one that's got 8, and they've all had a little on-off switches for them. So I see the one here that's got 6 or 7 devices. It actually has the ability to plug in an external power supply to it. But do you guys have that many USB devices? My monitor will hold 2 USB plugs. I never have it completely full. I usually one's being plugged in for one thing or another. But kind of cool, some of the little gadgets that are coming out. Facebook right now is the #1 leading cause of divorce. And, if you're going to be doing this dirty deed and going out behind your wife or husband, it's probably not a good idea to put your second marriage photos on Facebook. I'm looking here at this picture of this guy that is the culprit here. And either the ex-wife or the present wife, one of the two. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm looking at the gals. I'm like, he must have either be loaded or got the gift of gab. These, not in my opinion, not this completely Prince Charming type of looking fellow, but the 2 cute ladies who have been affected here. One of them logged into Facebook and typed the name of his who she thought he was cheating on her with, and sure enough, they found wedding pictures at Disneyland, of all places. Now, there's a little more to the story here, but come on. I'm thinking to myself, this guy obviously did not care, Amazing. Really amazing what people will do. It really is. It just it just shocks me. It does. Okay, some supposed leaks here. Supposed leaks on the 2011 models of the iPad and potentially the iPhone. Essentially, they're saying that they're going to come up with an iPad that is a 7-inch screen. A 9.7-inch screen versus a 7-inch screen, and they basically give some comparisons there. But basically, they think there'll be a couple more models and then some changes to the iPhone 5 with some changes to cameras and so forth. Give this a break. Give this a break. We just got the iPhone 4. The iPad hasn't been out very long. Who cares? I guess it drives page views. I just talked about it. So, it is what it is. It's amazing the pictures have been taken from space. And you guys know I am fascinated by cool pictures from space. And this was, I think I actually got this original article over on Engadget, but I'm going to link it up here. I have my new background for my computer screen here, but this image is 2 colliding galaxies, and it was released by NASA's great observatories, and it's called the Antenna Galaxies, located 62 million light years from Earth. And this composite image from the Chand X-ray Observatory and the Hubble Space Telescope, where they folded these together along with the Space Spitzer Telescope, were able to come up with this single picture. And this is just an amazing, amazing picture. The collision, they say, which began 100 million years ago, is still occurring. And you don't want to be in the middle of that mess, that's for sure. But quite an amazing picture. And it's cool that we're now able to take multiple sensors or multiple satellites or multiple vehicles and get an image in one light pattern and use the image from another light pattern, overlay them, mesh them together to come up with these mosaics that are just truly stunning. It just goes to show, obviously some of this stuff would not be normally visible light. You wouldn't be able to see that with the naked eye, but with the frequencies of the sensors, they're able to pull that out. Just incredible, really incredible. And it is my new background for at least the next week until the next cool picture comes online. All right, there's a good article over on GigOhm, and it's entitled "By the Numbers," and has a lot. What GigOhm has been doing lately has been putting up a lot of articles with a lot of eye appeal, and I guess they're figuring out maybe people just don't like to read anymore, but it sure makes it nice to be able to show on my show. And what they're showing is a chart here of the connected world, where it shows 360 million people connected in China, 227 million people connected in the United States, all the way down to like 20 million people connected in Poland. And it just shows the essentially the density of number of internet users across the world. And then it goes a little bit further and shows broadband subscribers. And what is really kind of sad here, in really truly the sense of the world, is you look at the Africa continent, largely dark from internet access. You look at parts of even Central and South America, and largely dark by what would be considered truly broadband service. In other words, service that is available at greater than 1.5 megs per second. But you look at the rest of the world. You look at Canada, the United States, and you look at the majority of Russia, and then there are, of course, Middle Eastern countries that have very little internet as well. But it just goes to show you the haves and have-nots when it comes to internet access from a visual view. And I think the thing that really kind of tripped me the most was obviously things now are big in the mobile side, and really, we're getting our butts kicked. The United States is, according to, by region anyway, North America looks to be ranked about third. Western Europe edging out Asia and the Pacific Rim by about 1 meg per second. And then you go down into South America, where it's 321. So if I'll just go through here, North America 418, Western Europe 691, the Japan market 690, Asia Pacific is 280, and then you go into Middle East and Africa is 53 kilobits per second. Excuse me. This is in kilobits per second, not megabits per second. You've got Central Europe at 263, Latin America at 321. So and it doesn't even show Australia. So I don't know why they didn't do that, but a pretty cool map of access, and shows how people are connected today. But I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on this and on what your thoughts are on that. They go a little deeper on the chart. If you look a little closer at it, it goes a little deeper here. But a good overview of how it breaks out in number of listeners worldwide. Not listeners, users of the internet worldwide. I'm thinking listeners because I want them all to listen to this show. I would be put in a poorhouse by paying for the bandwidth, but it sure be fun to first go around. Twitter, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I had to laugh because Dave Weiner today had this good article that says, oh my goodness, Twitter is down hard, help, went for sob. And, we're addicted to Twitter. And I have to admit, the reason I found this article from Dave was because Twitter was down and I was mad. So I said, I'll go over and look at what Dave has wrote today. And the first article on there is about people that are whimpering and sobbing about Twitter being down. And I said, yep. You got to look in the mirror sometimes, right? But we are pretty pathetic, aren't we? And a service goes down. It shows you how much we're using it. And then I'm sure how many of you would go into panic mode if you couldn't get access to Facebook for a day? How about your Gmail? You know, um, personally, I think it's good to be down sometimes. We can find out what else is going on in the internet around us that we're missing. And we are. I think we're missing a lot on the internet by being stuck in just a few sites. And it's good to get out and, cruise the streets once in a while again. All right, Apple has opened up a try before you buy section in the App Store. Now, this is really just a little bit of a play here that they're doing. And this, try before you buy sounds really good. Sounds like something to do, something to go check out. And the folks over at 9to5mac.com really play this up. And what they show here is the Pon Panic Lite app that you can get for free. We've all seen these apps where you can download one. It's free, and it's really crippled because they want you to pay the $2 to get the full version. But you can try before you buy, right? You're not trying the full version. You're trying the little light version that's crippled and full of ads or whatever, in order to determine if you want to upgrade and get the extra features with the full version. So really, it's not a true what we would all kind of consider as a try before you buy. You try to, if you're going to buy a car, you're going to go drive it, right? You're not going to go to the dealer and drive. They give you a little cardboard box to walk around the block in, right? As a test drive. So. Anyway, that's their little spin today, and I thought that was kind of comical, to be honest with you. Hey, over on blogs.alternet.org, there is a huge article that was released today that's been making some waves, and it's about censorship of Dig. And, I love how the article has started out. Now, first of all, I think all Dig stuff is gamed. Very, very rarely do I go to Dig and find something that it looks to me has been either the group of people of the social media pushed it up, pushed it down. So I'm sure this happens in many genres. I'm sure that there are people on both the right and the left, because this is an article that talks about a group of what they're calling influential conservative members of a social media site have been caught red-handed in a widespread campaign of censorship, having multiple accounts, upvote padding, and deliberately trying to ban progressives. An undercover investigation exposed this effort, which has been in action for more than 1 year. So it's a good article. He goes in and talks about how this group of people were specifically going after liberal-type articles, and they were saying, okay, let's bury it. And they would, basically down thumb the article to the point where it was no longer really being seen. So they had a private mailing list, and they had a number of people signed up to it. I don't know what the number was, but they did a huge job. I guess a very good job in what they were doing, driving articles down. Now, anytime someone's gaming a system like this, obviously it's not good. And I'm sure Dig will handle it accordingly. But the question is, do we not think that there isn't huge gamemanship going on in all these sites? When it comes to Dig, think of the value of having a Dig event where your site has driven a huge amount of traffic. I'm going to tell you, a huge amount of traffic always results in more people coming back to your site later. There's never a downside to having a huge Dig event, or having an article that has hit that's drove a lot of traffic. And there's always an upside to it, because you don't pick up everybody, but you pick up a percentage of new readers. And but these guys' goals were completely, I guess, political, to drive down liberal stories. But I'm almost betting if you went through and looked across the board at what happens on Dig on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure there's a lot of this gamemanship going on. Maybe not to this level, but, it goes in. They were in basically the mailing list and following what these folks were doing. And, basically some of them were getting banned, and they would create new accounts and talking about how to create an account, how to get around the Dig ban. And so I don't know. I think he's done a good job in this. Now, the question is, how widespread is it? How much more of this goes on? This is just on the political side. What about tech? What about other types of news stories that people want to suppress or to artificially inflate? I'm sure there's a lot of it going on. Link will be up in the show notes. Very worthy a read to get through, and because he's got a whole bunch of data there. But the article comments are been largely negative, which kind of surprised me about that. So maybe that's those conservatives coming over and saying, "Oh, this is horrible what you're writing about." Well, who knows? But anyway, the comments on the blog have been kind of not what I would have expected, to be honest with you. All right, at booksearch.blogspot.com, the official blog of Google Books. Books of the world, stand up and be counted. And Google thinks right now, and they've done a variety of studies, that there are 129,864,880 books that they officially claim as books that have been written. And I don't know how far back they go, but they say they go back a long way. 129 million. If you think about that for a second, how many people are in the world? 129 million books is quite a lot. Considering the work that has to be done to write one, I know, my tech book was 90 days from start to finish, 275 pages, and it was really a full-time job for about 90 days. And but 129 million books are out there. Does that number make anyone blink at all, or is it just, do you think it's low or high? Love to hear your feedback on that. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is, of course, the 619-342-7365. Hey, Eric Schmidt over at Google is saying that Google is now activating 200,000 Android phones a day. Wow. 200,000 Android units activated. No wonder they're flat out kicking Apple's butt in the in saturation. It is going to be an Android world here soon. That's amazing. Now, he said they didn't break out Android revenue numbers because they consider it part of their search revenue. That's amazing. 200,000 units a day. That's worldwide, of course. So, does that number surprise you guys? That's a lot of phones. It really, really is. Now, I know you don't have to be a Vonage user, but if you are, Vonage has introduced 2 apps that allow you to make free phone calls to your Facebook friends nationally and internationally. So the app is called the Vonage Mobile for Facebook. It's available for free for both the Android and iPhone. The app is real simple to use. You load it, you sync it to your Facebook account, and then really anyone that's on your Facebook list, you can call them for free via Vonage over Wi-Fi or over 3G. So this is a pretty cool little deal. So download this, and you'll be able to call your FaceFriend apps without charge. And, of course, your data plan will be affected depending on what you're on for Apple or even for Android. But very cool. They're saying, and the question is, what does Vonage get out? You don't have to be a Vonage customer. The company says it may add other paid services to the app, like low-price text messaging, and it may help them get into new markets. For now, you get free phone calls. So, I pay an unlimited plan. I get free phone calls anyway. So, it's included in my plan. All right, Microsoft is set to basically set a record with 14 patches, 8 of them being critical next Tuesday. So the security releases come out, of course, the first Tuesday or second Tuesday of every month. And this is going to be a record number, so definitely plan on your machines being rebooted when you wake up in the morning on Tuesday morning, those of you that are Windows users. And I have to remember to shut off auto update on my machines that I have restreaming the stream, because I came in here last week and one of them was sitting in with the reboot screen with the other stream down. So it's one of those things that some machines you don't want to reboot. I'm looking at my time here, doing okay. Next article up is cracking software cracking software retrieves iPhone 4 passwords. There's a Russian password cracking company that's released software it says can recover passwords stored on the iPhone without modifying the device or any data stored on it. It says it uses the latest version of the iPhone password breaker, will recover encrypted keychains that the iPhone 4 uses to store passwords for email accounts. The company markets the software as a tool for forensic investigators. But again, there's nothing to stop roommates and spouses from using it to snoop on people who use the smartphones. So be aware of that out there. NASA's planning 2 walks for the International Space Station to fix the cooling system. I was going to talk about this last week, but somehow it dropped off my radar. But first spacewalk is going to be Friday morning, and the other one's going to be on the following Monday. And they're going to remove a faulty ammonia pump and replace it with a spare unit. The pump that shut down this previous Saturday night was forced station controller to shut down a number of systems on the station, which reduced the station's electrical load and thus the amount of heat that it generated. The pump unit will be replaced on the first spacewalk with a second used to make electrical and coolant line connections for the pump. So they've got a couple other stuff going on too, that some other spacewalks for some routine actions as well. Do you remember us talking during Black Hat about the Android apps that were supposedly calling home to mama in China? Well, those 2 Android apps have been returned to the Android market. They were proven not to be malicious. So this is kind of, here's this guy. He talks about these 2 apps. He said that they're calling home to mama and sending privacy data, and it turns out that they weren't. So you just wonder I think the 2 developers are actually in China, so you just wonder if that guy could be liable for lost revenue on those 2 wallpaper apps. But Google restored the apps to the Android market, and the developer application has been reviewed, and the suspension has been lifted. And it was faulty information. So not all of those presentations at Black Hat were, I guess for a better word, legitimate. The UK government says upgrading away from IE Explorer version 6 costs too much, and the UK government is not yet interested in ditching IE Explorer 6, saying the cost required to do so outweighs the benefit. They are going to continue using IE6 through the support that Microsoft is going to have with their enterprise or extended support of Windows XP until April of 2014. But still, if you're on IE6, come on, move on. Move on. It's an old browser. And what it is, the government doesn't want to update software systems, and they don't want to have to upgrade machines that can't run the newer software. That's what it's all about. Have you heard about the Clear 4G iSpot? And remember I talked about having, when I was the iPad would not have AT&T on it. I would just have a MiFi or something. Well, what the folks at Clear have come out. If you're in a market area where Clear's has Clear service, especially essentially 4G service, you're able to get Clear's 4G WiMAX via Wi-Fi with this device of up to 8 different devices simultaneously for an initial monthly service price of $25 with no contract. Now, of course, if you compare that to plans from Verizon and Sprint for the MiFi, the Overdrive 4G, respectively, which only offers 5 simultaneous connections, are $60 per month with a 2-year contract. So, if you have a family full of folks that are using iPhones and have iPads, you buy this device, you put it in the house, and essentially, or even in your car, as you're moving along, as long as you have 4G connection to Clear, you can connect up to 8 devices on this thing. This thing is going to be cool for trade shows. Because what I'm going to do is we'll buy a couple of these for trade shows, and then we'll have them in the booth, and the guys will be able to have their iPhones and iPads all working for demos. This is going to be slick. And at $25 a month with no contract, Clear's going to sell a lot of these. And because most of the conventions are in Vegas, guess what they have in Vegas? 4G. So this will be really good. Really, really well. All right, the BBC is reporting that Jordan, yes, the country Jordan, has blocked public sector workers from 50 websites. This is pretty interesting. On a 30-day study, they found that public servants visited 70 million websites at work, of which only 130,000 were relevant to their jobs. country's information minister has basically said, oh boy, we have a huge problem. And what they found was that workers were surfing the internet up to 2.5 hours every day. 2.5 hours. No wonder they're upset. Can you imagine? Can you imagine surfing the internet for 2.5 hours and say fired? Gosh, unbelievable. So they are able to reduce, just by removing access to 50 websites where the majority of the traffic was going. Essentially, they are able to shut down most of the problem. Pretty amazing. Really, really is. Of course, with the jailbreakme.com breakout, you being able to jailbreak phones, this has opened up the potential for iPhones, iPads, and so forth to be hacked with a malicious PDF being sent to your device. So Apple is warning at this point that really everyone is at risk until they get this patched. I'm sure we'll see an update to the iPhone operating and iPad operating system in a very quick order here. But right now, just be careful when you're out there and on Wi-Fi, basically where you're surfing to. Make sure you're going to known sites, because if not, you could end up on the receiving end of basically a hack put into your machine. You wouldn't necessarily jailbreak your device, but it would very well spy on you through something loaded through malware. How many of you have heard of Sesame? S-E-Z-M-I? I've never heard of this company before, but I read the story on this, and I am completely intrigued. I don't know exactly which markets they're in yet, but Sesame is a personalized TV service, and it expanded to 36 U.S. markets. For folks on a budget, or for people looking for, don't you hate those, alternative to Comcast, you may be in one of the 36 new Sesame TV markets. And for as little as $4.99 a month, and the purchase of a $149.99 Sesame DVR, which is capable of 1,400 hours of storage, you get basic HTV, personalized DVR functionality, on-demand movies and TV shows to rent or purchase, and access to online content from places like YouTube, Bump, and so forth. You can bump your paid subscription to $19.99 a month and gain access to premium cable channels as well. So you do have to have a broadband connection for this to work. These devices are available at Best Buys in the markets in which the Sesame is available in. So check this out. Might be a good alternative to your cable company, but it's all driven on all on bandwidth. Now, if you're on Dish, this is pretty cool too. So Dish Network unveils the first pay TV remote access app for the iPad. So if you want to watch your Dish Network television while you're mobile somewhere, what they really have done here is they've partnered up with what is the company's name? It's let me go through the article here. It's Squeezebox. I think that's Squeezebox. Who is it that they've actually partnered up with? It says here, Dish Network, fastest growing, Boy, isn't this horrible. I had this on the tip of my tongue here. But anyway, what's going on is as long as you've got the right hardware, you have to have a VIP 922 DVR, yes, with built-in Sling technology, you're good to go. So if you got Sling technology built into the VIP 9222 DVR that you have in your house, if you have one of those units, a DVR unit, then you're going to be able to watch your TV remotely with the Sling technology built into that DVR with an app that's going to load to your iPad. So, brain fart. I know it was Sling, but just got to read, Todd. Anyway, this is cool. And I'm sure this is going to sell some subscriptions to them as well. So if you're on Dish and you've got one of these VIP 922 DVRs, and with the built-in Sling technology, download the iPad app and watch to your heart's content on your device. If you're looking for a media center project, if you want to build a media center, Linux is always a good choice. The folks over at Extreme Tech have come up with a step-by-step tutorial on how to get you up and running and building your own Linux media center PC. And I have this link up in the show notes for you. You can do this for relatively inexpensive with an inexpensive laptop, and you can get a pretty nice Windows 7 machine for about $500, and then load Linux on it, and with an HD TV output. So this is a pretty good project for someone that wants to give it a try. And again, they give you all the information you need over here on Extreme Tech. Well, you know that experiment they did on the moon where they basically were looking for water on the dark side, and they basically drove a projectile into the moon and measured the plume? Well, what they have found is that the moon shell, in other words, the shell, the exterior, may be wet, but they're saying the inside is bone dry. And they say that there may be vast amounts of water ice at or near the lunar surface, but from all the tests that they've done here, they really feel that there's no water on the interior of the moon. You know, here's the thing about all these scientific predictions and studies and everything else. We're never going to know until we go up there and drill a serious core sample that pulls out a core that is deep, that they can be able to look at and really be able to determine whether or not, there is water in the interior of the moon. I would have a tendency to think probably not. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for there to be water there in the interior. Kind of surprising there's water on the exterior in the, in the places where it's super, super cold. But I guess it's all, so it's what the scientists are saying. We will see. All right, over at PC World, more than 1 in 10 Mozilla bugs finders turn down cash. You know, Mozilla has a cash reward program up to $3,000 for bugs being turned in that are of very critical nature. But it says more than 1 in 10 turn down the cash, which is pretty cool. And it goes to show you that people aren't always so greedy just for the money. There was a question asked on Slashdot, and actually I got asked this recently by someone else. A buddy of mine wants to do his own do-it-yourself home security system. And I thought, I don't know about that. You know, there used to be all these types of devices you can buy. You still can. But he's talking about buying piecemeal stuff. Has anyone never done their own home security system? If you have, send me a link to some cool sites that may have some of this information. They've asked the same question on Slashdot, where to start with a do-it-yourself home security system. And there's a couple of links here, but if anybody else has anything good, I'd love to hear from you as well. SpaceX has unveiled heavy lift rocket designs at the recent Joint Propulsion Conference. SpaceX Rocket Development Facility Director Tim Markusek has unveiled conceptual plans for how its Falcon 1 or Falcon 9 commercial rockets could be involved into heavy lift rockets. They're definitely going after some of this federal money. But they're talking, they have the lift capacity of being able to put as little as 38,000 kilograms in orbit up to 140,000 kilograms in orbit with the higher lift of the Falcon 9. So we'll see. We'll see how much cash they get. If anybody gets any, they probably will. If you're a Thunderbird 3 user, I know I am. I'm not been real super pleased with Thunderbird 3, but there's been a study come out that talks about really what's going on underneath the hood and how much memory it's using and disk access, and it's not a pretty situation. Thunderbird 3 has some fundamental serious issues of basically using too many resources. So I'll have this link up in the show notes, and it should be an eye-opener for those of you using Windows 3. Hey, over on telegraph.co.uk, couldn't let this one slide by before the end of the show, but Winston Churchill, during World War II, near the end of World War II, basically covered up a very significant UFO incident. He says that he feared public panic and loss of faith in religion. And this is from newly released secret files. This is part of the stuff that is being released by the British from their national archives. But the claims are contained in thousands of pages of declassified files on UFOs released this previous Thursday online by the National Archive. The 18 files, which cover from 1995 to 2003, are made up of more than 5,000 pages of reports, letters, and public drawings from correspondence with the public and questions raised in Parliament So this just goes deeper and deeper. Do you guys notice we're starting to get more and more and more UFO data? Does that mean disclosures coming? Are they getting the pump primed? Are they making us think that this is a potential possibility? You guys know my story. You don't have to convince me. You do not have to convince me at all. So the question is this what they're getting us ready for? We don't know. Some experts in the field think it is. Of course, they've thought that a lot of times too, and nothing's come out. So we will tell over time, won't we? Hey, did you know that companies not real happy when you go out and buy Google AdSense words that use the trademark of their company name, like Rosetta Stone? If you buy a keyword that says Rosetta Stone and you point it towards a competitor space, Rosetta gets pretty unhappy about that. Matter of fact, they sued Google some time ago over this, and Google just got the biggest win they probably could expect in this area. This is big. It really is. And Rosetta Stone got spanked. The opinion granting Google's motion to dismiss was approved, and basically this has been going on since April, and the judge granted Google a summary judgment. Basically said, hey, they're not really liable for people that buy Google AdWords that violate someone's trademark. It doesn't necessarily leave the person that bought the Google AdWord ads, it may not make them not liable, but Google's off the hook. And this probably will be appealed, but we will see. Hey, those body scanners? They're not supposed to be storing any images. I went through a number of those things. You have to put your palms up on the wall, and the thing whirs at you, to last for about, 15 to 20 seconds. And then you have to wait for them to look at your image, and they're supposed to ditch those images right away. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. It appears that some enforcement agencies, not necessarily the government, and they're not necessarily clear that it's the TSA, but it appears a bunch of other government and law enforcement agencies are starting to admit that they have hundreds of thousands of these images of body scans stored. We gave up privacy on anything else. We might as well just walk naked in the street, folks. Really? Let's just forego clothing and go to the airport. Sir, I'll take your clothes now. We'll put them in your bag, and you can pick them up on the other side. Oh, thank you very much. Let me go ahead and strip down here. There's my clothes. Thank you very much. You wouldn't have to worry about getting wanted in security. We might as well be naked if they're saving these pictures. Amazing. Simply amazing. Now I got to move on to something a little more fun. How many of you are tired of buying stuff from Ticketmaster? Don't they have such a monopoly on everything? I'm going to have a link up into an article on Tech Dirt that's going to make you guys jazz. It's called Top Spin Ticketing. And if you are an event promoter and you want to get away from the essential control of Ticketmaster, you need to read this. This is a very cool thing, and it was proven out in London in a recent concert by a group called the Pixies, who did digital ticketing. This is really, really smart, and I'll have the link up to this in the show notes for you to check out. Another article over on Tech Dirt talking about privacy. And as I said before, we might as well just all walk around naked, right? But really, when it boils back down to it, the saying is, if you can't do the crime, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Or if you haven't done a crime, you have nothing to hide. There's all these little things, these little, phrase words people say. If you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to hide. It goes on and on and on. Well, everyone has, and I'm going to read a quote here from this article. Everyone has something to hide. Privacy is relational. It depends on the audience. You don't want your employer to know you're job hunting. You don't spill all about your love life to your mom or your kids. You don't tell trade secrets to your rivals. We don't expose ourselves indiscriminately, and we care enough about exposure to lie as a matter of course. Among upstanding citizens, researchers have consistently found that lying is an everyday social interaction. Twice a day among college students, once a day in the real world. Remember, the disasters that befell Jim Carrey in the movie plot that left him magically unable to fib for even one day. Comprehensive transparency is a nightmare. I find it interesting that adults in the real world lie at least once a day. Do we do that? Do we lie at least once a day? Or are those a little, they're not necessarily like a criminal lie, but a little white lie? Interesting. Do you have something to hide? I think we all want to remain private to a certain extent. Hey, if you're going to bid on a $40 billion Air Force deal, don't rely on a messenger on a bicycle to deliver the contract, because you could get there 5 minutes late and your contract would not be accepted. Yes, it happened. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you. In Google, young, hip company, long interview process, only hiring the smartest. Google has been ordered to defend against an age bias lawsuit. California Supreme Court has agreed a trial court erred in dismissing a complaint by Brian Reed, who was hired in 2002 as Director of Operations and Engineering and fired less than 2 years later at the age of 54 after being told he was not a good cultural fit. In other words, that means you're too old. You're not cool. Maybe you gained too much weight. Maybe you shouldn't be hanging out here anymore. So allegedly, Google has violated his rights, and they're going to have to go to court on this. Uh-oh. We'll see. The ruling means that this is going to be back in court, and Google could have their hands full. It'd be shocking, really, if it's proven that they're doing that. You lose a lot of faith, wouldn't you, in that company if they did that? Okay, let's go ahead and get into the email comments, and the folder is opening. And let me look at my timer here. Good, I got plenty of time. I got two voicemails, and I'm assuming they might be a little bit. One's 8 seconds, another one's 18. So should we listen and see if someone's actually got a real message here? Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. If you call, please leave a clear and concise message about the show or what you're trying to have us help you with. That will definitely help us a great deal. So here comes the 8-second one. So we all have to listen very carefully. Here we go.
I need information on the low jack that's installed on my PC.
You need information on the low jack that's installed on your PC. First of all, I assume you own it. And if you own the PC, you probably installed low jack as a way to prevent the laptop from being stolen. You can find information about LoJack, I believe, at LoJack.com. I know that they have, I believe they have a customer support service as well. So my advice to you is, and I'm not familiar with the LoJack product, so please go over there and give them a check out. And I think it's LoJack.com. If not, just Google that, all right, and you'll find LoJack, and basically you'll get all the information that you need on there. So good luck, and I don't know what else I can really tell you besides giving you that resource. Okay, here comes the next, and please call back next time and let us know who you are, and expand a little bit so we can help you. We're here to help, but if you don't give us more detail, we really can't do too much. Okay, all right. Here's the next one.
You a text to landline message. Brian Robinson has sent you a Sprint voice message. Call for.
Brian sent a voice text message. Maybe I'll have to check this out, because I've gotten one of these before, and she was just about ready to read off a telephone number. I didn't want to put that on there. So this is, I think, a service that is used for folks that are either hearing or vision impaired, one of the two. So I'll check this out, and then on the next show I'll report back to you guys. Okay. All right, the next is emails for the show. Nicholas, I don't know what's going on. Your Roku should be inbound. There is everything on Hawaii is a little slower, so keep the faith. It should show up anytime. I'll check on the other one that we sent as well, and make sure that got out. Got an email here from Rob. He says, Todd, the Samsung Captivate is part of the Samsung Galaxy S branding. Similar devices under the Galaxy S brand are actually being launched on all major U.S. carriers. And Verizon is called the Samsung Fascinate. T-Mobile is called the Samsung Vibrant, and that's already out. AT&T is Samsung Captivate, and on Sprint it's the Samsung Epic. He goes on to say it's also rumored that Samsung will be releasing a PMP, in other words, an iPod Touch type of device and tablet under the same branding. They will be running with the Android operating system. Just an FYI, Rob. Thanks so very much for that, Rob. We appreciate it. Got an email here from Bill. He said, hey, Todd, I'm sorry to say that I'm a few shows behind, so you may have seen this already. And actually, Bill, I hadn't. It's pretty cool. But I just saw it, so I thought I'd pass it on. This is a great concept and shows that true innovation is not totally dead. Imagine a bus that can drive down the road and yet let traffic pass it even when loading and unloading passengers. Sure, they do it right now when you can get around it, right? Well, not this bus, because you don't have to go around it. This bus shows that if you can't make the road wider, the only way to go is up. And I don't mean the road either. This is a bus that allows traffic to pass under it. Pretty cool if they can get it from concept to reality, which it looks like they have the plans for in Beijing. So this is a news article over on Yahoo. I have this linked up. As always, love the show and the work. Bill in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. So thanks for that, Bill. And we'll have that link up in the show notes for you. Got an email here from Andrew, and he says, hey, Todd, I had to share this. Do you have to be local to get it? And what Andrew has shared, no, Andrew, I think you just have to live in a big city, okay? But it really has a, it's a Flickr photo, and it says, cockroach slipper, whack 'em. And, it talks about a story about killing cockroaches Hawaii style. And basically, the person has the traditional Hawaii slipper. In other words, a flip-flop. You guys know what a flip-flop are? So those ones that cost $2 at the drugstore. I see kids wearing those to school. My daughter, I refuse. I refuse to let her wear flip-flops to school. She will not go to school with flip-flops. It's not happening. Not happening. Nice slippers? Yes. Flip-flops? No way. Over my dead body. But anyway, thanks for that, Andrew. I appreciate it made me smile, and everyone gets to see the picture will too. Also, we got an email here from Dr. Synthax. He's greetings from Germany. He's, hey, Todd, great show. Really enjoyed it. I'm not sure, but I think GNC 596, when you had a topic about cell phone radiation, I really don't know where the myth of bad cell phone radiation is coming from. I mean, seriously, it's low radiation compared to older phones, and even more important compared to other usages of the 33 centimeter, in other words, 850 to 900 megahertz radio band. I mean, it goes on to say, you see, mobile towers today output somewhat about 1 watt maximum. Mobile's only about 0.1 watt or less, while amateur radio in the 33 centimeter band pump out 100 watts or more. Not to mention older standards like analog TV/radio, which does more than 100 watts, while the new digital signals only need 10 watts for the same amount of range and signal quality. Even an unusual overland power land line with 500 kilovolt of voltage does radiation of about 100 cell phones at a maximum transceiving level all the time. So in general, signal radiation lowers each year with more and more digital signals emerge, while the fear increases each year. Just saying. Anyway, and so here's the thing, though, is about it's still radiation, RF radiation, and it's a cumulative thing, over time. I think this is where the concern is. So is it, you get more X-ray, you're going to get a chest X-ray, do you get more radiation from that than you would out of a year of cell phone usage? I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you have that cell phone upside your head. But I'm sure over time we will find out one way or the other. He goes on to say, also just saying, and for GNC 598 iPad data planes in Germany, you can get a contract, monthly cancelable, for 9.9 from O2 for 9.95 euro, and if you want online billing, it goes down to 8.5 euro, something around 12 US dollars, I think. In that chart you linked in the show notes, that means that even under $1 US per gig for O2, though we don't pay for gigabyte here in Germany except with some dumb contracts, but usually you get a flat rate, meaning you get 300 to 500 meg at 3G speeds, and then they throttle to edge speed, though most of the time providers don't care and start enabling the speed break at 1 gig or up to 2 gig from my experience, but still with unlimited usage. Also, the iPad data planes equals the iPhone data plane too, so 8.50 euro per month, and you're set. O2 even includes Skype calls and so on. Of course, you have to get an unlocked iPhone for that first, and they don't subsidize the phone. So in other words, you pay retail for the phone $600-700. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Syntax out of Germany. Sam says, hey, Todd, one thing I would see change for the Geek News Nerd podcast is to make the show notes more useful and attractive. Here's a sample of what I would like to see. Sam, can you provide me that template in that design, the HTML on that? All right. What else do we have? I think that's it. Let me look at the time. Yeah, we're done. All right, folks, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Again, if you have comments on the show, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. I'll be up here online for a little bit for those of you that are online with me. But for everyone else, thanks for tuning in and being subscribed and downloading the show. And share my promo codes with your friends, neighbors, people that you know. Really, it helps. It keeps the lights on. And don't forget to support GoToMeeting as well with those trials. But everyone, take care. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you back here for show 600. I will be Twittering when I'm getting ready to start. So pay attention to it. Again, probably around 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We'll be live for show number 600. We'll have a lot of fun. Everyone, take care. And until next time, aloha.